today. So today is my usual monthly makes video, with a little bit of a twist, I guess, because April was spent entirely in lockdown. Lockdown here started at the end of March, so all of April I've been stuck inside. It's been 4 weeks of hard crafting over here, because I've got nothing else to do with my time. And this is the kind of time when having a giant fabric stash and pattern stash has really come into its own, because I have plenty to be getting on with. I'll start by showing off what I'm wearing right now. So this dress is from a pattern from Grasser. So I was introduced to this brand from one of my commenters on a recent vlog, who recommended them as a alternative Russian pattern company designer that they'd used and had some success with. So it's worth checking them out. And they do have a website all in English and in English instructions, by the way, so that's definitely a plus. They basically just knock off ready to wear and runway clothing. So there's quite a lot of quite cool, edgy, very fashion forward items on there, which I'm loving. They sell their patterns in the same way that viscose do. So you just purchase one size and they're all graded for height as well. So there's, I think, 4 different height categories that you can then buy your size in. The other upside of using these Russian pattern companies is that they are really dirt cheap. Patterns are anywhere between £1 to up to £3 maximum. It's insane, which is why I ended up buying 6. Yeah. So I started with this one. This one is number 672. And the reason why I wanted it, and I'll just move my hair out of the way for this, is that I really loved all the detailing that came with this one. So it's got this really lovely pin tuck detail and ruffles around here. It is a shirt dress, so the button placket goes all the way down to the bottom and there's a hem frill, and it's got proper cuffs and placket here as well. So all those little details I really, really loved, and I really wanted something that I can get my teeth into. The pattern itself was actually really well drafted. The pin tucks worked really well, and what I thought was quite clever in terms of their construction with the pin tucks is that they recommended for you to cut out your pattern piece for the front bodice bit here to be a bit bigger than the actual size of the piece, and then to press and sew all your pin tucks in, and then they had another piece which should be the finished size of that bodice piece, so that you can then make sure that what you'd sewn, regardless of how messy or how well or how badly you'd done those pin tucks, you'd then be able to get the pattern piece that fitted onto that front bodice piece exactly. I thought it was a nice touch. I think it's one of those things that they didn't need to do, but it was really nice that they did. Overall, it was actually quite an easy sew, as in it took time and there was lots of little details, but there was nothing particularly complicated about any of them. Nothing unusual in terms of the construction method or anything like that. The neckline has a bias binding around the top and then a separate button placket on each side down here. The waist is, I'm wearing a belt here, but it is slightly gathered at the skirt and elasticated at the waist as well. I actually don't think it looks very good in this particular fabric. I think in a plain fabric, having it with that kind of gathered and elasticated skirt would look fine, but it kind of looks like there's too much going on here. You do have the option for a fabric belt with this outfit as well, so it comes with a pattern piece for a fabric belt, but I didn't have enough fabric. I barely had enough fabric for this one, to be fair. And if you look at my back centerpiece, if I turn, you can see that the fish, there's a bit in the middle where the fishes are going in the wrong direction. I had to cobble together a few pieces to make my center back bodice piece because I ran out of fabric. This is what happens when you buy fabric before you decide on a pattern. You always end up with slightly too little. So I had to forego the belt, which is fine because I could always wear a regular belt like this with it. If anyone is wondering about the belt, I know a couple of people on Instagram had asked about it as well. This belt is from The Fold. If you Google them, it's The Fold London, not to be confused with The Fold Line. Two very different things. And my little sister actually works for them, and she got me this belt for Christmas. So I've been trying to it's like the perfect waist belt, so it's really good for wearing with dresses like this. So the fabric that I used for this one was from Stoff and Stil. It's a woven viscose with this really lovely print on it. I got it in my last haul from them, so I literally got that a week or so before lockdown started. They still have it on sale if you did want to get it. So what I really loved about this print in particular are all these little kind of flowery shapes. They look like flowers from afar, but up close you can see that they're fish, they're goldfish, and these leaves are like seaweed and kelp and things like that, as opposed to like an actual flower design. I love that there's this hidden fish design in there. I just thought that that was really fun. Also, I love this orange colour at the moment. I don't know why I'm obsessed with these oranges and yellows right now. I think it's me trying to emulate Sunshine. I'm just going to stand up and I'm going to show you what this looks like in full length. So this is the full length of the dress, so it comes down to about mid-calf. I bought the pattern for the shortest height, so I did not do any adjustments to the length or anything. This is exactly how it came out the packet as such. The only adjustment I did make was to do a big bicep adjustment, just to give me a bit more ease in the arms, because I hate things being too tight there. I've got bigger upper arms, so it's a common adjustment that I need to make. So you can see the frill goes all the way around, so that's all one pattern piece that goes all the way around to the back there, and it's got this kind of frill hem at the bottom. The hem is curved like this on purpose, so you can see it's longer at the front and back, and then it comes up a little bit towards the sides there as well. I'll give it a look to hold, you can see what it looks like all the way around. So I think it's really cute. I really like how that turned out. I do feel like it's sometimes a bit country. Like I can also see myself wearing this with cowboy boots and a Stetson, but hopefully I'm not gonna go down that route. I'm just gonna move on to my next make for you guys. So I thought I'd share this one with you today, even though I technically didn't make this in April. This is the Coconut PJs from CocoWawa. It was just released a few weeks ago, which is why I've only just been able to kind of blog and talk about it now. So I tested the pyjama pattern. It's quite a simple pyjamas outfit in terms of it's a loose fit top and short. The interesting thing is this neck detail. So it's got this kind of gathered neck here with there's basically loads of options for the neckline. So you've got the ruffle option, which I've done here, which gives you this kind of like little ruffled collar. It's all elasticated up here. You've got an option to do it without the ruffle at all. And then there's an option for this kind of like big ruffled collar thing as well. All of which are really cute. I tested this version just in some cotton voile that I had lying around. The shorts themselves are kind of quite simple with a little slant pocket here, and just that kind of loose fit elasticated top. It's just, you know, a really nice pyjama pattern. It's just, you know, a perfect for summer, really. I think that, especially where we're all probably spending a bit more time in pyjamas than we have ever been, it's nice to have a nice set of pyjamas too. I'll give you a little twirl and you can see what they look like all the way around. So again, you can see that ruffled neckline goes all the way around here. Yeah, so the fabric that I've used here was from Sacre Coupon in Paris that I picked up last year, which I hadn't decided what to do with. It was a little bit too sheer, and also after I got it, I decided I didn't really like the print that much. Typical, but it's just in that I don't think I would have worn it out. Like I could have worn it to the beach, but I don't think I would have worn it like out normally. So yeah, this was a good one to use for pyjamas, I think. So April was clearly a month for separates. This is the In the Folds wrap top. That is a free pattern from Peppermint magazine. That sounds confusing, doesn't it? So In the Folds is the company that actually designed and made it, and they made it specifically for Peppermint magazine as a free download. So all the sewing patterns on Peppermint magazine are free to download, and they do have quite a lot, so they are worth checking out. You might have seen a few of them around on social media and things like that. So the most common ones are the jumpsuit, the Peppermint jumpsuit. There's this everyday dress that's quite popular as well, and this top is probably the next most popular one as well. So it's a really lovely wrap top. It's really simple, and there's that real beauty in that as well. So it is a kind of a really authentic wrap top. It's got one part of the strap that goes through the side seam over here and wraps completely around you. It's really flattering. I really like where the neckline sits on me, and it's just really easy to do. The sleeves aren't exactly what comes with the pattern, what I've got here. So the fabric that I used, I only had 1.5 meters of this fabric, which I think is a cotton viscose mix that I got from My Fabrics. I got it quite a long time ago. I think I got it at the beginning of last summer, so I can't quite remember the composition. If I find it, I'll add it down on the notes below. But anyway, I only had 1.5 meters, and this top actually does require quite a bit more. Not a huge amount more, but definitely close to 2 meters. And it's quite a narrow fabric as well, which I think didn't help matters too. Anyway, when I got to cutting the sleeves, I realised I didn't have enough length, so I ended up making my sleeves wider and shorter, and then finishing them with some elastic at the cuffs as well. So I've got this kind of poofed 3/4 length sleeve effect going on, which I kind of love. I'm not complaining about it anyway. The actual sleeve I think is just a little bit longer. It comes down to about here. Again, it is slightly puffed, but it's not to this point. So I've just made it a little bit more individual, I'm gonna say. I'll just twirl it so you can see what it looks like all the way around. So I do think tops like this are really flattering, especially on my body shape. So I've got really kind of big bust and hips, but quite a small waist. So this kind of brings everything in. It's just quite easy to wear. And that I think is going to go with a lot of things. Like it looks great with jeans, or work really well with skirts, dungarees. So there's pretty much it's sort of like as neutral as a top can be, you know, like it will go with everything. So I do want to make, I think I want to make more, but I need to find the right fabrics for it, because I don't think I want anything too stiff. And yeah, I don't want anything too soft or slinky, especially where it ties. I find that if you use kind of really like too soft a fabric, too like silkier fabric, it just starts to undo. So you need to get a bit of balance with that. And I think that this fabric in particular worked really well. So I'm just going to be a case of seeing whether I can find something similar but in a different colour or print or something like that that could be just as cute. So this next top that I'm showing you is from another Russian pattern company. So I found this one again when I was on that internet rabbit hole that I was down, and I found the Grasser ones. This is from a company called Forme. This one, I think isn't in English at all, but if you click on enough buttons, you kind of get a workaround on the websites and things like that. So this is just like an off-shoulder, oversized blouse with these magnificent sleeves. Look at that. So it's like a raglan style in terms of the sleeve insertion, and then a huge kind of gathered sleeve and gathered at the cuffs with elastic here as well. I just thought it was a really fun play on this kind of off-shoulder blouse thing. I used a bit of cheap kind of viscose I had lying around, which I got from the remnant bin in Walthamstow Market last year, I think it was. It was at, must have been last year, I think it was at the London Stitches meetup that was last year. I wanted something that was just really fun and bright and fun and vibrant and summery, and I felt like this hit the spot. I kind of also feel like I look like a deck chair. Like I could probably find a deck chair with this print and lie down there and you wouldn't be able to see me. It'd be the best camouflage ever. Anyway, it's a really simple pattern. The fact that the instructions are terrible and in Russian really didn't matter too much. It's just the front and back piece, really simple sleeve insertion as you can imagine, and then just you just turn over the top of this to make elastic casing for the top part here. So I feel like that worked really well. I like this kind of blouse. I don't know if it's the most flattering on me, I don't know if it works for me, but I don't care. I really like it. I do want to make another in this kind of style. I'm not sure whether I'll use this pattern or not, but I like them as like summer tops, like just throw on with a pair of shorts. Not that we're going to have much of a summer because we're all going to be stuck inside, but one can hope. So the beady-eyed amongst you might recognise this top. I was wearing this in my last video when I was describing how I'd made that Ghanaian-inspired dress. Speaking of which, I am not going to show that dress in this video because I've got an entire video based on it. You can go and watch that if you want to see that blue sheer dress. So this jumper is the first knitting project that I finished this lockdown. I started this jumper in January, and so it only took me 3-4 months to finish it, which for me is amazing. I am not a quick knitter, but having all this free time suddenly made me have the time to do it. It's a really simple pattern. It's from a French designer called Alice Hammer, and she does just really, you know, simple, chic, very French, very designs, and it's got this really beautiful kind of like tight cuff and puff sleeve thing going on, and then the rest is just really quite simple. Got a high neck and a keyhole back as well, as you can see there. There is actually meant to be a button and button loop at the back there, but actually the neck hole was big enough that I felt like I didn't need to. And also I didn't have a crochet hook to make the little button loops, so I just ended up tying those bits together to close it up, and it's worked perfectly fine. It's the yarn that I used for this was from a shop called La Droguerie, another French company who did this pattern in collaboration with Alice Hammer. So they have supplied the yarn, and Alice Hammer's done the pattern. You can kind of buy them together. So I actually bought this as a kit as such. So it's all the recommended yarn and yardage and everything that the pattern recommends, which for me is really important because I'm really rubbish at doing all those kind of things. So this is part mohair, part polyamide, I want to say. I'm not great with my yarns and stuff, guys, I'm sorry, but it's a really lightweight yarn. You hold it double and it's knit on reasonably big needles, and it comes up this kind of like really light and really airy sweater, which is absolutely perfect for this kind of weather at the moment when it's kind of not quite cold to wear a really thick jumper, but it is not warm at the same time. So this is the Pinnacle top from Papercut Patterns. I've made mine in a really lightweight loop back sweatshirting from Sonya Sunshine, and I actually made the view that is designed for woven tops. So the pattern comes with three views. This one, which is meant for woven fabrics, so it's just kind of plain sleeved, plain sleeved, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Just a fold over hems everywhere and then facing. You can do this length. There's a short version that cuts off about here, and they do a sweatshirt version which has another panel at the top here, and then a neckband for the top, and then a hemband at the bottom and cuffs that go with that. I decided I didn't want a full-out sweatshirt with this one, despite the fact that I wanted to make it out of sweatshirting, okay? So I used view A, which is the view for the woven fabrics. I figured it's all kind of the same in terms of the sizing and the fit, so it should kind of work. The main difficulty for me would have been the neckline, and I'll explain why. So the interesting detail with this top is this kind of angled panel at the front here. So it's essentially got a triangle at the front. I've used the stripes of the sweatshirting to kind of really emphasize that. So I've actually cut this panel here on the cross grain. So the selvage is like this side and the grain's running that way instead of this way. But I really wanted to kind of show off where that different panel was. For my hems, I just use my cover stitch on them, so it's come out really neat on both the sleeves and on the body. And for the neckline, I ended up just putting the facing in. I didn't want to have faff about with neckbands and all of that. So I figured with this jersey, with how I'm wearing it, it doesn't require anything to be stretchy. It doesn't require anything to be stretching. Two different things. So I would just use the neckband in there. I did sew it on a zigzag, so it's got a little bit of give, but not a lot. And then when I turned it on itself, what I've done is actually just hand catch stitched the bottom of the facing all the way around as well. So because I knew that none of this would be under any tension, like I don't have to stretch to get it over my head and all of that, that I knew that even just doing things like the hand stitching should be fine for something like this, okay? That doesn't mean to say that it would work for everything, but in this case, yeah, it would. But I really like how this turned out. I'll give you a twirl and you can see what my pattern matching is like in the back. Not too bad, right? So it's got this centre back seam here. It's a really interesting pattern in terms of the actual shape of it. So this whole front here, the sleeve and the back, all one piece. It's amazing. And then it's joined at the centre back and the centre front where the triangle is. I thought it was really clever designing in that it's got this kind of like origami effect to it. It's got this really weird shape on paper, and that you kind of fold and sew things together in a way that suddenly it turns out into a lovely top, and I love that. So this make is the Fleur Pinnacle from Untitled Thoughts. I was lucky enough to test this one too. This was only tested really recently. I think there was, what, 10 days between, or less than that, like a week between us getting back our tester feedback and Brittany releasing the pattern. She's got excellent turnaround skills. This is a really simple kind of apron style pinafore dress. I think her idea and thought process behind it was to make a kind of utility gardening style dress, you know, something that you'll throw on to kind of work around the house and things like that. Okay, so I tested this version here. I know that the final version has more options in terms of omitting parts of the bib and having it as just a skirt and all of that, and those are really simple things that you can do with a pattern that's as versatile as this. Basically, really simple. It's just a lot of rectangles, which I think worked really well and came together beautifully. The skirt, front and back, again, big rectangles. Waistband, big rectangles, apart from the buns here, which has a little point here. And again, same with the bib, with pockets and pockets here too. I mean, it does what it says on the tin. I'll give you a little twirl and you can see what it looks like from the back. I do feel very young in it, like I look like I'm about to go off to kindergarten, but I also think that that's really quite cute. It closes with buttons, so you've got buttons on the top up here and buttons at the waist. You are supposed to have buttons on the side down here as well, which I missed in the instructions and didn't put them on, but doesn't affect the function actually of it at all. I just think it's a really cute, really fun little thing to have. I think that I can definitely see how it can be useful as that kind of gardening thing that Brittany was on about, especially with big pockets like this. You can just put the tools in, you can kind of do some weeding and things like that. Just a bit of fun. This fabric is a cotton twill, it looks like, that I got in Singapore, ooh, 3.5 years ago, a long time ago. It's a print from someone called Cocoa Fabrics, which I did Google afterwards, and that is a real thing. They do like fun prints. It's a Japanese company, but it's got this really cute little paisley print on this, which I really think is adorable. Yeah, I really like how this turned out. I'm sure that you'll be seeing lots of these on the social media world as more people make them. So this is my ready in under an hour skirt. I bought this piece of pleated fabric from Stoff and Stil. Again, in the same haul where I bought that fish fabric from. basically it was really cheap and I wanted to try using a pleated fabric. I've seen lots of lovely pleated fabrics out in the past, but never used them because I didn't think that that kind of shape of skirt would suit me, so I thought I'd try something with something cheap, see if it works. I'm pleasantly surprised. So this is just like a really cheapo polyester pleated fabric. The pleats go horizontally across the fabric, so I have turned everything on the cross grain and cut it that way. Essentially it's a big rectangle sewn up one side, and that's going to be the centre back, and then I turned over the top edge and inserted elastic in there. The bottom hem of this is actually the selvage of the fabric. Yes, that is how lazy I was. I didn't even hem it, but it was done really, really fast. From deciding what I wanted to do, cutting it out and sewing it, an hour. It has one seam, and then just the folding over bit on the top. That is it. But I think it worked really well. I'm going to give you a twirl. Sorry, I'm on tiptoe so you can see the bottom edge of this as well. It's just really simple, really easy. One of those things that you're like, oh, sewing doesn't need to be complicated. It can just be this simple, and you can still make something that looks great. And that's always a really lovely feeling to have. So this is the last thing I'm going to share with you today. These are the Patsy overalls from Ready to Sew, again a French company. They do a lot of really lovely patterns actually, but this is the first time that I've used them. So this is from their recent collection. I think it's 3 or 4 patterns, and they've all been designed to use as little kind of extra haberdashery as possible. They really wanted you to be able to just have fabric, thread and the pattern and be able to make the item, that you didn't have to worry about buttons and zips and all of that kind of stuff. They wanted to keep things as simple as possible while still keeping things stylish, which I thought was nice, you know. It's not often that you get people trying to pare things down that much. Anyway, I thought that the overall pattern was really cute. I saw it on the Fold Line's Instagram and pretty much bought it straight away, just couldn't help myself. And I really like how they turned it out. So I used a green linen that I bought from My Fabrics last summer. Actually, it was in the same haul as that spotted wrap top. Shows you how long I keep stuff in my stash drawer before I actually sew it though, doesn't it? So I think it worked perfectly for this, and they actually do recommend like natural fabrics like linens and stuff as well, so I was like, yes, I'm totally fitting in with your aesthetic and all of that. So these overalls are really cute. They've got quite a kind of a peg leg shape, so a bit tapered towards the leg, tapered towards the ankle. It's got a front seam down the middle of the trouser leg, and that allows this kind of pocket insertion on the sides. On the back it's got these back pockets as well, and on the top it closes with a tie that goes through the top of the bibs on the back and on the front to tie at the side here. And the only thing that I would say that there are 2 things that I would change with this pattern if I did it again in the future. 1, make the tie longer. It's really annoying to have to tie something at this length. I would have made it about 20 centimeters longer to be able to get a really decent tie on there. The other thing is that on me, these pockets have ended up really low. Okay, so I have adjusted the pattern length slightly, so in the leg, kind of mid-thigh and at the ankle to shorten it. I'm not particularly tall, as I always repeat, so I shortened everything, and that actually hit the length right at me. But these pockets here are just about an inch too low. I would really raise them up slightly so they hit about here instead of where they are down here. It's not like they're not functional, it's just like you put your hands in pockets, they just go down a bit further than you want them to. Like, I want them to sit here, but they're here, you know? Little things. It doesn't really affect the function or anything like that. It's just a personal preference to some degree. Maybe my arms are short and that's why it feels like that to me. I'm sure someone with longer arms probably doesn't notice anything like that with this pattern. So that's all I've got to show you today. Stay tuned and there'll be many more things in the month to come, I'm sure. I just got word that I may not be back at work for another 6 weeks, so maybe a lot more sewing to come, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're all staying safe at home. Keep in touch in the comments below and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.